So why some teenagers or sometimes adults, they start doing drugs, becomes drug addicted. And usually if you've seen my videos about vector psychology, usually happens in dermal with audio. Could be also anal audio, but usually it's dermal. Now, first problem that when a teenager is getting abused in his childhood, at home, sometimes physically, sometimes mentally, sometimes they scream too much on the child, parents, or it could happen in school. So what happens is when you scream on the child and it's dermal vector, it's usually people, they don't want to suffer. It brings them a lot of obviously discomfort, but people looking for pleasure, they don't want to feel miserable. So brain starts to produce natural opiates, endorphins, as a painkiller in order to it starts to produce it at the moment when it feels that really when you get abused. So the brain turns on that kind of, you can say, self-defense mechanism and produces those endorphins. Now that person or teenager is getting used to it if it happens too often, and it feels good, those endorphins, and suddenly parents stop doing that. Maybe they got divorced, maybe it was a abusive father or mother, he lives with father, or changed school. Now that person is lacking those emotions, those hormones, because it's really what makes people happy. It's endorphins, it's serotonin, it's all these hormones that makes us feel good. That's what we're looking in life. That's what, when somebody says is happy or not happy, that's, we're talking about that. Now what happened is you start looking for that, and it's kind of, you can say, it starts provocating and looking for these fights on purpose. So he's gonna get abused again, beaten, or they're gonna scream on him. He's not gonna doing that homework on purpose. So you're gonna start screaming him. It's gonna trigger those endorphins, and it feels good. So it could be very dangerous, because what happens next, when he get used to it and is lacking that, that's how he's gonna start looking in drugs, heavy drugs, or it can become masochistic, because sadistic, it's usually anal vector. Masochism, it's in dermal. Now what happens is, once in a while, he's gonna start looking for those dominatrix to take off this stress. When he has stress, he's gonna look for this and become masochistic. Now, sometimes top managers and presidents of the company, it happens in dermal vector, with too much stress, maybe on Wall Street or they run big company. When it's over stress, when alcohol doesn't help, they also go once in a while to this dominatrix to take off the stress. It could happen in dermal vector. But, so over stress is no good. You need to learn how to get rid of it, and we'll talk about that also in some videos. But what worse than that, it's not just become masochistic. A person starts looking for failures, different failures in its life, because failure, that's what brings those emotions. When he fails, when he kind of, you can say, loser, and it's becoming a loser in life, because that's what he starts doing. He starts to looking for that failure, because that's what triggered those hormones, that defense mechanism starts to trigger the endorphins. Now, another thing you can do, it's if he gets abused and beaten, a main role of dermal vector person is to save resources for the tribe. In ancient times, they used to be hunters, they used to be kind of team leaders. The leader of the tribe, it was Eurythro, but they were kind of, you can say, top management of the tribe. So it's people, it's leaders. Those are people who are leaders in life. It's not anal, it's not other vectors, not, definitely not visual. So what happened is, if that person is, as we said, is not so the leader and in the company, in business, that would say they could be dermal vector. But what happened is the same person that we said is gonna starting to look for failure, and it could be really bad. So what happened if that child is getting abused and beaten, and its role to save resources, hunt and bring resources for the tribe so we can thrive and survive, because you abuse him, it creates that psychosexual delay. The person grows up but stays as a child. He wants to save resources for himself only. So what he's doing, he starts to become thief, starts to steal in order to, well, that's his nature. But he had to do it in savannah for the tribe, to grab this energy, to hunt down wild animal and bring it for the tribe. So that's its nature, to grab and take. So he starts to grab and take for himself. He starts to steal or everything for himself and becomes sometimes very greedy. Now, another thing is, a woman, dermal visual usually, with oral vector, or dermal with oral. Now, these women, if she's been abused in the childhood, and the same role to get and protect resources for the tribe, now psychosexual delay makes her to grab and protect resources for herself. Now, because she cannot find it, the only thing she can, you can say, have the resource, the only resource she can have, it's her body. So now she starts to use her body for the same purpose. So that's how they basically become a prostitute. If that girl was abused in a child with dermal vector. And so you need to pay attention to that, because it's very serious topic, and we're gonna discuss a little bit more in another video. See you guys next one.